You know, in life, sometimes when you're going through things, when you're having a tough time or a hard time, and something profound happens that changes your life, or you get a word of advice or encouragement and it puts you back on course. Well, today I want to share with you some of the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. That advice was very simple. And the person who said it to me, it was a stranger. She was visiting from another country. And I ran into her and I just felt the need to ask her a question because she looked so peaceful, so serene. And the question I asked her prompted the response. And she said to me, "You don't always have to respond or react." Let me say that another way. You don't always have to react or respond. It saved my life. Not only did it save my life, but it changed the course of my life because I was a very reactive person. And my responses were not always appropriate, or they were not always within the framework that they were supposed to be in. Do any of you have that problem that you know how you should respond, but most of the time your responses are totally catch even you by surprise. There are moments in my life when I've said to myself, "Man, Ingrid, you are too much." Sometimes I'm too much for myself, but that's okay. Like RuPaul says, it's okay if you're a lot for yourself as long as you recognize what the lot is. But sometimes we over respond, or we choose to not respond correctly to situations and circumstances in our life. Our reaction is also dictated based on emotions. If we can learn to control our emotions, we can learn to control our responses. For me, that is a work in progress. For me, that's something that I'm constantly and consistently working on, because everything that happens to us or everything that benefits us requires us to practice at it. It doesn't come automatically. If it comes automatically for some of you, that is spectacular. That's awesome. But what I've found in my own life, that I have to practice every day in, day out, to ensure that the things that I've learned remain with me. And that gets worse if you get older. If you get older, you're going to find that it's necessary to practice those things, because there are days when your mind is not functioning, when you don't want to be in that place where you can practice. So having learned how to practice ahead of time really precludes the necessity of failing. So what does it mean that you don't have to respond and you don't always have to react? Think about the times when you've been in a situation, and in that moment you may have thought that you shouldn't react, and you didn't, but you should have. Or think about a time where your response to the situation that you were in was one that you got home, you said, "Man, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I say that? I know better." And then you replay your conversation in your head, and you're like beating yourself up because you said something out of character, or you said something that you didn't want to say, but it just leaked out. It just came out of your mouth before you knew it. It was like, diarrhea of the mouth. And the next thing you know, you're looking stupid, dumb, or you're beating yourself up because you didn't intend to be in that position or situation. And then there are times like the current times we're in, like the social unrest and the things that are going on, where people are responding and reacting. And a lot of that reaction and response is in direct correlation to the way they're feeling. Your emotions play a big role in how you choose to respond and react. I think the perfect world is the spirit world. The spirit world is one that I believe is characterized by the lack of emotion. The only emotion that truly exists in the spirit world is the emotion of love, because love guides everything else. But think about that. In this earthly realm where we live, emotions play a big role in how we approach everything we do in our lives. The person that tells you they do not have any emotion is a person that has practiced self-mastery. The person who has gotten to that point by consistent practice, day in, day out, they have determined that they're not going to let their emotions take them over. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there, but I remember recently I had an issue where I didn't want to be emotional, but because of the nature and of the incident, I became overly emotional. And my response was not an adequate one, because it was one out of anger. So anger is not a good way to react or respond to anything, but you have to check your emotion. Check your emotion before you decide to respond. If your emotion is one where you're feeling angry, count. I often tell people, count sheep. Count whatever you want. The point is count. Do not say anything that you're going to live to regret. Because once it's out, as most of you figured out, you can't pull it back. You can't take back what is said. And as much as you can say sorry, as much as you can say forgive me, those words are already left your mouth and they are out there, and there's no recall button. Don't we all wish we had a recall button? I do. If I had a recall button, I'll be pushing that thing more than anybody in the White House would be pushing that red button. But there's no recall button. But there is such a thing as practice. You can choose not to respond or react by practicing. You may not get it right the first time. The first time something happens and you're like, okay, I watched this video. Ingrid said, don't respond, don't react. I'm not going to respond or react. I'm going to think through this thing. I'm going to compose myself. I'm going to pull my thoughts together, and I'm going to direct my thoughts so that there's a positive outcome right now. And I'm going to go home and think about this. Perfect. But it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes you just lose you just lose it because it's in the moment and you're feeling emotional. When anger is present, somebody's angering you, or somebody's doing something that takes you off your keel, that makes you unsettled and takes you out of your comfort zone, you're going to respond in such a way that later on, when on examination, you're going to be like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And then you realize, you know what? It just happened and I didn't have any control. How you choose to respond or react has a lot to do with self-control. Self-control is a spiritual thing. Self-control is one of the fruit of the spirit. But without self-control, you're just like the wind can take you up and throw you wherever the wind wants to take you. No, we have more control than that. We have control over all the elements, including the wind. So there's no excuse for you to say, I'm tossed to and fro. You have control, and the only way to exhibit that control is to learn how to respond and to react. Take the emotion out of it. Forget how you feel in that moment. I mean, I'm asking a lot. I'm telling you, I don't practice hypocrisy. If there's such a thing as hypocrisy, this is what it looks like Sheldon said. I'm a hypocrite. But I'm telling you that practice makes perfect. It doesn't make perfect the being, but what it makes perfect is the process. The process that you use to put in place so that you don't have to beat yourself up after the fact. Try it. Don't respond immediately. Don't react immediately. Check yourself. Ask yourself, what will my response or my reaction in this moment be? And if it's not favorable, check yourself. Hold it back. And think about the repercussions of that response and reaction. Think about long term. Think about the outcomes. The outcome is just as important as what's happening to you in the moment. If you can transcend your weakest moment, if you can check yourself during a difficult time, if you can overcome the impulses to respond and react to your emotion instead of responding and reacting to spirit, then you're on your way. You're learning. You're learning from the beginning up. It's just a matter of just taking one step at a time. It's not difficult. It was the best advice somebody gave to me, and I thought I would share it with you. I hope that you can benefit from it. I'm sure there's more I can say about it, but guess what? Today, I just want you to realize that you have that tool and you can use it. In the moments when you're uncertain, in the moments when you're unsure, in the moments when you question whether this is the right thing or the wrong thing to do. No response is required. No reaction is required. You can ask for time, and you can take time to determine the course of your next action. My name is Ingrid Felton. Thank you always for visiting my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like the videos. Also leave comments. Your comments are valuable to me. Tell other people, tell all the world, tell everybody about what I'm trying to do over here. Bring them to me, bring them to the truth, and let us explore the truth together. Have an amazing